the room. 201.
201. Okay, it's time to start.
Yep, I asked Mary if she would record this meeting, and he had to say okay that she's recording. Ryan will then put this on our, I guess, on UCCNY, something. I think under annual meeting things, because
that sounds right. Or maybe he'll make it more private for y'all. But I know he said he'll take care of it after the meeting.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for showing up on a Saturday. Dave, we all talked to each other about what the weather's like where we're sitting, and you weren't here yet.
Yeah, we're between rainstorms.
Okay, wow. It's a rainy New York today.
Yeah, flash flood warnings in this area, the whole deal. So
have you heard about the floods in Germany?
No.
Yes.
Oh my word. I was on this morning with two groups from Germany, one in Berlin and one in Frankfurt. In the southeastern, down south, I think in the southeastern, horrendous flooding because of rainfall, and they did not expect, they couldn't even imagine that what happened would happen. Where's the Rhine River? Cologne. That's where it's around.
And Cologne's up in the northern part.
Well, it's near Cologne.
Yeah, because I went to Germany and studied there in Wuppertal, which is right outside Cologne, and they had Kirchentag there that year.
Oh, lucky you.
Yes, so I got to actually attend a Kirchentag. So
well, there some dams broke. There was just huge rain and dams broke, and communication was snuffed out. Bridges were washed out. There are over 150 people confirmed dead. Hi, Judy.
Oh.
There are lots still missing, and they can't communicate and they can't get to these places. And the people that we were talking with in Berlin said there's no way we could even have imagined that this could happen in our country, because we're not like a third world country. So they're in need of prayer. I'm talking about Germany. Judy, have you heard any of that? Yeah. But what we'll do first is we'll go around the screen. I'll call on you because I'll just go in my order and introduce who we are, what association we are working with, what our role is in the association, what church we go to, what our role there is, and any little fun fact about yourself if you have one. Okay. And then while we're going around, be thinking about the challenges that you're facing in your association that you could share with Judy and me as leadership, as conference leadership, or with one another, because maybe you're neighboring conferences, the challenges, and then your dreams for your conference, and maybe the ways you see, I mean your association, and maybe the ways you see the conference could help you more, because we're really committed to making the conference work with you, for God. So Debbie, you're the next on my screen. So
okay. My name's Debbie Rose, and I am the moderator of Oneida Association, which is in central New York. Most of our churches are right around Syracuse, but we've got about 21 churches, and they span from Utica to Union Springs. My church is in Auburn, New York, and I am no longer the pastor there. I had been interim pastor for a while there, but I work full-time for Erie Materials. It's a building material distributor, and I'm an accountant for them. I'm new to the moderator role, although years ago, probably 2 decades ago, I was a moderator for the same association. But new to it right now. So just feeling my way around.
getting to know it, yes.
Getting to know, yep.
Thank you. Ann, you are next on my screen.
Okay, I'm Ann Hurd. I'm a past moderator of the New York Conference, a past moderator of the Essex Association, and at the moment, I'm the assistant moderator of the Essex Association again. And
No good deed goes unpunished.
Yep.
And
That's
what's
you too,
going
Debbie.
on in the Essex Association right now is that we are tiny, and we are exploring the possibility of merging with Black River St. Lawrence.
Pastor Dave.
Yes, Dave Carter. I am a pastor of McLean Community Church, United Church of Christ, sort of here between Cortland and Ithaca, south of Syracuse, and in the new moderator for the Susquehanna Association. We have 25 churches. This is my first go around as being moderator, and as of April. As far as interesting, I love to play golf. Been up here for 8 years, moved up from the Southern Conference, where I pastored a church down there. Came to pastoring late in life. This is like my third career. Oh, I will say third and final career. Anyway, I guess
that's Dave.
That's me.
I'll say a little bit about myself, and then Judy. And Judy, when you finish, would you bring us into prayer? I always forget the prayer part, and then I see Judy.
Mary? Yeah, don't forget Mary.
Yeah, don't forget Mary.
Don't forget Mary. There she is. We'll do Mary, then Donna. You're muted.
You're muted, Mary. Mary, you're
Mary.
muted. We can't hear you. You're muted.
I swear I hit it unmuted. Sorry. Moderator, that's the tech person with the muting. Sorry about that.
Realize that you're signed on as Ryan.
Yes, well, I'm on Ryan's account too, because I'm also doing the tech. So more than one thing.
Yeah.
So I'm the moderator. I started being moderator right about when COVID hit. They had told me it wouldn't be a lot of work. So it was just an interesting thing. I always thought when you did the moderator meetings, I always thought it was only former New York moderators. So I never even thought about it, to be honest. But I'm not a pastor at this point. I'm a full-time chaplain at a local hospital. And I also do pulpit supply, and I'm part of the Farmingville, which is a small little church. Prabhu is the pastor there, and I'm part of that church.
So what association are you? I'm sorry.
Suffolk Association.
Suffolk. You probably said it when I know.
I was
Prabhu.
muted probably.
Maybe, and I should know where you are, but should is such a funny word. I am, Donna, I'm the moderator for the state. I'm a past moderator for the Western Association, and currently the acting secretary because we can't find one, and I can't let them not have somebody. So I said, if you can bear with my horrible secretarial skills, I will do what I can. And I'm the music director at my church, which is the Arcade United Church of Christ. That's my fun fact. I love music. And I love this church. Judy.
I'm Judy Van Kennen. I pastor Emmanuel Congregational United Church of Christ in Messina, New York, which makes me a member of the Black River St. Lawrence Association. Currently, I don't have anything pressing to do there, with the exception of I am like the mediator for our association. Once in a while, I get calls to help churches dialogue. Also, I am the associate moderator of the conference, and Donna's right-hand girl. You're muted, Donna.
You're muted.
You're muted, Donna.
You're muted. You're muted.
I think she wants to read lips.
I know I'm muted. I just said, read my lips.
Yes.
Oh, I got
read my lips.
I would add, as a member of Black River St. Lawrence Association, we are so excited thinking about merging with Essex, because we too are small, and you know, we see that we could joining each other would make us just a little bit stronger and more resources. So that would be a good thing.
Will you pray us into the meeting, Judy?
Oh, sure, sure. Oh, that's what you were doing this. Okay, got it. Gracious and loving God, we thank you for this day. We pause and think about the many blessings you have given us, not only individually, but as the New York Conference, the many friends we have made, and the things we continue to learn about being your church. Bless this time that we have together. Give us new insights, new wisdom, and ways to nurture friendships and support one another in our journey. We ask this in your precious name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Anne is a singer too, right? I remember Anne as musician. Yes. Well, I would say then that one of the things facing Essex and Black River St. Lawrence in terms of challenges is how to have the conversations that make the merger real, or make sure everybody's with you for the merger. And I hope that we don't have a lot of mergers in our future, but you don't know. So
we don't.
Why don't you talk to us a little bit about your process so far?
You know what's helped, I think, and you can jump in too, the fact that we were forced to use Zoom so much for our regular meetings. We were already used to doing that. So we could invite Essex folk to join us for semi-annual meetings, and they did likewise. And, you know, some of us were able to be present with each other. So we got a chance to get to know each other that way. I think one of our, so our program at the May meeting was the Black River St. Lawrence churches were each tasked with take 5 minutes or whatever and introduce your church. Tell us a little bit about your church that makes you unique, so that they would get a sense of who we are as an association. I'll hand it off to Anne.
Yes, that's exactly what we've tried to do. And we all are feeling very positive about this, because geographically, we are anticipating that we will be able to be face to face now that COVID is beginning to calm down. So it's been quite good. Mm-hmm. And we've had good attendance at the Zoom meetings, as Judy was saying, and everything seems to be moving forward in a very positive way.
Great. We have a couple now. Debbie, you said you're the new moderator, but that really doesn't count because you're the new moderator again, except that things probably have changed in the 20 years that you weren't moderator. But Dave, as probably now, Mary, are you new to the moderator position?
Since the pandemic hit, so I'm in my second year.
Okay. So Dave, did you just begin this spring or something?
Our meeting with the election was at the end of April.
Okay, so
and I was asked to come on we have the general ministry team back. Well, they asked me in November. I officially came on in January as the vice moderator. Oh. So I was new. I didn't even get the 2 years of serving as vice moderator and being a part of it. I mean, I've been active in the association as far as attending meetings and serving on some of the committees, but nope.
Yes, I had the same experience. So as you look forward as the moderator now, with no chance to be an assistant moderator for a couple of years, it's tough to know what you don't know about the job. So the rest of us are going to think about what is it he might not know that maybe we could highlight for him. But is there anything that you don't know that we might be able to help you with?
Oh, I'm sure there's, I'm learning. And to be honest, maybe it's not the worst thing in the world that I am coming in the way I'm coming in. Because I just, bring, I guess, a fresh outlook. I've been, sort of part of the system, and coming in. And I think that's one of, and like I said, I have been active in the association.
Right.
And so, trying to focus because, coming in, we have 25 churches. When I came to the association 8 years ago, we had 28. One closed, 2 left. Not to mention, I don't know how your associations work. We had another 3 or 4 churches that we really had very little of any contact with over the years.
Yeah, right.
So that's been my first priority, is tracking them down, reaching out, making contact, if I can find somebody. And I think our goal this first year that I'm here is to reconnect and improve communications with all of our congregations. So that's sort of what we're working on right out of the get-go here.
Familiar, isn't it?
Very familiar. Yeah.
That starts at the church level and reaching out to your people. And then,
Right.
is my volume a little low?
No.
Okay.
No, you're good.
It starts at the church level, and then the association level has that, and then we at the conference level feel the same way about reaching out to churches and associations, and
Yeah, but you do have to have something to reach out to them with.
And
yeah, and the to me, as being part of it and being a pastor in 2 conferences, one they have in common, and I'm sure most of us have heard the person in the pew say, well, what do we get for our money?
Oh yeah.
And what do we get? Mm-hmm. So my sort of thing is like, okay, folks, well, let's answer that question. Let's answer it by going to them, and we are preparing what we call an informational brochure. Mm-hmm. Those of you know Katie Dean, she's very artistic and talented on a computer. So it looks like a little coffee house menu. It's bulletin size, where we've got the different things that the association is prepared to assist with, whether it be through funding, whether it be through counsel and helping them to accomplish things. We've started a committee on church that the lay people are going to go in groups and worship with different churches throughout the association. I've offered myself to attend any council meeting at any church if they would like to have me, or even do pulpit exchanges. So we're going to hit them with something.
Very nice. Very nice. And this is the kind of sharing that every association could benefit from, mm-hmm. I think, because who couldn't want to have access to Katie Dean's little
no.
Bulletin.
She's ours. Don't be horning in now.
We're just going to share.
Yeah. Okay. Well, all right.
We have something similar at the association level, or at the conference level. There was a video at one point, what your OCWM dollars do for you. And there are a couple of other resources that one of the things, you used the word communication. And one of the things that we're recognizing is I don't know if it's that we don't put the stuff out, or the information, or when we put it out, it's not put out in a way that people are able to hear what we're saying, or it's at a time when people don't have time or energy or interest. I don't know, right. But it seems like we're always answering that same question, Dave. Always. Well, what does the conference do for you? What does the association do for you?
Yeah. Well, 20 years ago, that was the question, and I remember having a flyer that all the churches received that, was the ways OCWM helps the local church, and, how it can be helped. And it's same old.
I know.
Well, yeah. And in some of the churches I've talked to, when I've started talking about, like I said, I'm a firm believer, maybe I'm old school. And even with our flyer, which is what we're working on, but the whole thing isn't the flyer, is that we're going to deliver it face to face.
Yeah.
face-to-face time
Yeah.
is you can. And because of convenience, a lot of organizations, including our churches and our associations, were like, well, we pretty much do everything by email. And I'm like, and how's that working for you? As we get less and less interest in FaceTime and what now, email, trust me, I use it. It has its purpose. But if that is the limit to our communication, it just doesn't carry that personal touch and message and connection.
Hi, Eric.
Oh, welcome.
Reverend Eric Jackson. Good to see you.
Likewise, I'm on vacation this week, and I happened to just peep into the email and saw that I was able just to pop in for a little bit today. Just wanted to say hello.
Eric is the vice moderator of Oneida.
Wonderful.
Oh, okay. Wonderful.
And you must be a church meeting geek like the rest of us who are
Yes.
here on a Saturday. Well, thanks for coming, Eric. We're talking about what does the conference do for you? What does the association do for the people in the pews? That age-old question. Anything from Anne or Judy or Mary?
I was going to go back to what are some of the challenges, and when Dave talked about, when he first came to that association, there were so many, and now there's 3 less churches. And I think one of our weaknesses is in the rural areas, especially as churches have pastors retiring, and maybe they can't afford a full-time clergy person. If we, the UCC, aren't doing better at raising up people that could be even a lay pastor as they're working toward standing or ordination, there's always a whole slew of would-be pastors out there who are from other settings, other denominations. Once they get installed in a church, that church's connection to the UCC diminishes over time, and eventually those are the churches that end up leaving. So I'm always talking to our church and ministry committee about that. How do we encourage people that are studying and so that they don't get tired of the long journey that's ahead of them before they can serve.
Are you doing that at the association level or yes?
The association level.
Yep.
Because we could be doing that at the conference level also.
Well, we've got positions that just, they've been open for well over a year, maybe going on 2 years. And, nobody wants to come to rural areas. So we've got to do something.
Well, yeah. Some don't want to come, but some you can't. Because, who's going to go anywhere for a quarter-time position?
Right. Exactly.
Well, and that's where Judy and Ann are getting experience in merging, that we need to figure an easy way to yoke churches. Easier.
Yeah. That's where I think we need to, focus on building up some of our kind. Like I said, we have 25 churches, but in 5 years, that's going to be 20.
Yeah.
And not because they're going to leave the UCC, they're just going to cease to exist. Of course, I don't know that for a fact, but that's the way it looks. We've got 5 churches that their membership is, I think, under 30.
Do any of you people who have been moderators before or have been in the moderator seat for a couple of years have anything to offer? These are the things that hit you maybe after a bit of time in your seat that you wish you had known or thought about before? Chew on that. Eric, are you brand new to the?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. So, and Dave is new in his seat, but he's been involved in his association for a while. So he's familiar with the association, the workings of the association. I'm trying to even think the answer to my question. Like when I was the moderator, I'll tell you one thing that I never accomplished that I wish I had, and we're still struggling with it. And it would still be easier if we did it. And we should do it at the conference level. If there was a binder that was the moderator binder that was organized by month. These are the things that you do in January, and these are the things, and we would have called it, we actually started working on it, the ways of work, the way, it's kind of like the way we work, not policy, but just how we do business in our association. Who to contact, what letters. Every year it comes around that our association needs to send a letter from the council to the association committee of ministry for the authorized ministers. And every year it's this, we got to get that letter out. Every time there's going to be an association meeting, we have to designate where the offering is to go. And it seems like we just can't remember to do it far enough in advance so that it's not like a knee-jerk kind of thing. So I would love for us to have a binder that's the moderator's binder, maybe the assistant moderator's binder, maybe the secretary's binder. Well, that probably is one of those. Not in my world, but
yeah. In our association, I almost feel that our registrar, treasurer, is a more important position than the moderator or the vice moderator. We have an excellent registrar treasurer, and he is, and the people before him too have been really the key to the whole workings of the association. They're the ones that keep us on the calendar. They're the ones that keep us, that keep me and keep others knowing what's coming up and what we need to schedule and what we need to do. So I don't know if every association has a registrar and a treasurer.
Yes, but not that
It handles everything like that. Boy, let me tell you. I mean, when I was on 20 years ago, it was Sue Gibson. Some of you probably know Sue. And you know what she's like. And since then, there's been 3 other registrars and treasurers, and they are, right now it's Andy Hinman, and he is awesome. He's just awesome.
Is it one position?
Yes, registrar treasurer. It is the only paid position in the association.
Oh, okay.
It's a paid position.
How about the rest of you? Do any of you have paid association positions? Western does not.
We have 2 positions, registrar and treasurer separate. And of course, all of you know Sue Frost, she's our registrar.
Oh yeah.
Registrar, and what a wealth of history and information, and she's so active in the conference level too, so it keeps us informed, that kind of stuff. We have a treasurer that took over 2 years ago, a lady, Nancy McLaughlin, who was also the treasurer of our church here in McLean. So
but are those paid? Are they paid positions?
The registrar is paid. The treasurer was paid, but it's Nancy's option not to get paid.
I think ours get a stipend, or like an honorarium, but it doesn't pay. I mean, it's really not pay.
Well, yeah, a stipend, if you want to call it that. Yeah.
Black River, St. Lawrence has a stipend for the registrar and the treasurer as well. The registrar is a little more, but with the idea that there's, that if there's much printed material and mailing and postage and all that covers.
We're the same.
Suffolk. Yeah.
Suffolk is registrar is Ann Van Cleef, we have no term limit. We have term limits for moderators, vice. We do not have term limits for registrars or financial.
Same thing on Oneida.
Same thing on Oneida. Okay. So yes, they get paid. It's Charlene Apsel, who's also on the personnel on the conference level. And then Ann, who has been doing it so long, there's a going back and forth because I never was a vice moderator before. I kind of just got thrown in. So she knows, and she'll remind me because she's like, Mary, we need to be doing this. And I'm like, well, no, because I never got the list of what I'm supposed to be doing, just that I'm running 2 meetings a year. So that's something that I'm hearing you all say that I'm going to work on. So I know what I'm supposed to be doing.
Exactly. Eric, I just want you to know we're recording this. It probably says that on your screen somewhere. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Just didn't want you to say anything. You didn't want the whole world to know.
Uh-oh.
Thank you.
Yeah, these things happen.
Mm.
Well, that's some of our challenges, at least. And I would like to know if you would like one another's email addresses, because I sent it blind, but I would be happy to share, at least with the people who are here,
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Yeah, that's
so that
fine
you
with me.
can continue to communicate. We could, I hate to add another meeting, but I am a meeting geek, and I have my own Zoom, so much, I have my own Zoom account.
So do I, yeah.
So if you would like to meet more regulars, Eric's right there, thanks. If you would like to meet like quarterly or something, we could do a moderator's coffee, quarterly coffee. That would be okay with me. I'm looking for an annual meeting acronym for the word GRACE. I mean, if GRACE would be the acronym, and it's our annual meeting because we did all this grace flowing down. If somebody could, I'm working on it, but if you have any great ideas for an acronym, you know, how to God's or growth reaches across the country to everyone. I don't know, something. Anyway, I thought it would be fun to have an annual meeting, like hashtag.
That's sort of fun to think about too.
Right.
I like those things.
Now we had a challenge for a hashtag from the mission partner in Africa, Phyllis Bird. She said, I would like to challenge the New York conference to not let rooted in love be something that is just gone. When she said, why don't we consider making the New York conference hashtag rooted in love? She just loves that. And then she talked about that baobab tree. Is that what it is? It made a great analogy. I think it's called the baobab tree. All righty. So those are some of our challenges. And it's interesting that some of them are 20 years old. Now, how about dreams for your, oh, Judy, were you about to?
I was going to say, the rooted in love. You know, the pastor from the Buffalo area that helped with worship. I'm not recalling her name. At St. Pilgrim
St. Luke's?
Yeah.
Yeah, Nancy Rosas.
That was her idea.
It was?
For our General Synod. She had submitted that. I read it on a clergy. I'm on a UCC clergy women's thing. And she had put down that was her idea and sent it in, and they went with it. So.
Oh, that's wonderful to know.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I thought people should know that because I thought it was great. It was wonderful.
We got an idea of Dave's dream for at least the first part of his tenure as the moderator. He wants better communication, and he wants his people to be sharing in the life of their own churches. Like, I love the idea of the lay people visiting other churches and pastor exchanges. Are there others of you who have dreams for your association? I mean, you're working in it because you love it. So what would you love to see happen?
I would love to see workshops, you know, aside from those semi-annual meetings. I'd love to see different things available to help, especially the smaller churches who struggle with how can we do this or that. And I've always said, let's do pulpit exchanges. I think that's a great idea, Dave.
Thank you.
One of the things that Keene Valley has become aware of is that ever since the COVID thing started and we began worshiping using Zoom, we have more people participating in our services because of Zoom. We've got folks from all over the country that participate in worship. And we've decided, even though the reopening committee is in process, one of the things we all came together about was to continue using Zoom so that members of the community who are seasonal are able to participate year round.
Oh, yes.
And it so far it's going incredibly well. We opened the church to in-person worship on the 4th of July. And last week, I'm guessing that we had probably 70 people in the sanctuary, but then we had 50 people on Zoom. And it has increased the number of people that are participating hugely, and it's working very well.
Do you have a way for online giving so that when they're just online, they can
Yes,
participate in the offering?
yes.
Does anybody have that challenge, association-wide or church, in your church?
We've been using Facebook and as far as posting services, and have our own Facebook page where they can donate.
Yes, okay.
We've got the little donate button. Of course, you got to go through all the paperwork with that, which is another thing. We're reaching out to some of our smaller congregations. And when I've talked to their lay leaders and pastors, they're like, well, we just don't have anyone here that knows how to do that. And I'm like, well, that's where the association can help.
Right.
We can bring somebody in to sit down with you and help you do that. Or to help churches with one of my things is develop a church growth plan. If you don't have a plan, your church is not going to grow. So we as through the association can help do that and provide those services and counseling. So.
Debbie.
Yes.
Anything?
No, I'm taking notes here.
Yeah, I am too.
I think developing a church growth plan is really a great idea. I think our church, my church in particular, St. Luke's UCC in Auburn, needs that. We had a pastor, oh gosh, it's probably been 5 years now, that passed away. He was a very well-liked pastor, and our church was really thriving under his ministry with us. And he got cancer and he passed away. Well, it was a very difficult time afterwards. And the interim pastor that had come was not all that helpful to our congregation. And that's when I took over as interim. I went through the lay ministry program, and so did another person from our congregation. So I know you're not supposed to pastor your own church, but the two of us decided we could pastor the church as an interim, always looking for someone else. So we finally did get another pastor. But our church really has not had the opportunity to grieve the loss of that beloved pastor, even though it's been about 4 or 5 years. People still talk about certain hymns, oh my God, Dave loved that, da, 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 but, we need to move on from that somehow and find a way that our church can grow again, knowing that David's not going to be around. He's no longer here. But so thinking about church growth, I would love to have a church growth plan for us. Yeah. Our pastor right now is, she's good. I think it's the first time this church has had a female pastor. But she's timid. She's very timid, and that makes it a little bit difficult to, to reach out to people.
I think that's where a church plan can help the members of the church participate. So not all on the pastor.
Oh no, I know that.
Right. And so that's what a plan helps. And a lot of times if an outside person comes in, a fresh set of eyes from outside the fishbowl, someone to ask the hard questions.
Yeah.
I know sometimes I went up to Canada and was, I knew one of the pastors up there, Ted from Ontario Conference there. And I said, well, you know, while I'm up there, if you got a couple of need a supply pastor for, you know, pastors on vacation, he's like, you want to preach on your vacation? And I looked at him, I said, buddy, preaching for a congregation, none of which can vote you out of your job, that's a vacation, baby. Because you just take the gospel and let it rip. I said, that's fun for me. But I think the plan is, you know, that's one of the first things I did when I came here to McLean.
Eric.
I was asked him, I said, what organized group of people meet on a regular basis to develop a growth plan? And they went, nobody. And I said, so you're going to ask me why you haven't been growing?
Okay, Eric, you're relatively new, aren't you, in your church?
Yes.
Where does your church stand in terms of church growth plan or your ideas and dreams for that church as you come in as a new person?
So as a new person, one of the things I try to do is listen and learn the congregation first as I come in, as opposed to coming in with, you know, with the whole dream list of plans that could happen or maybe not, well, maybe won't happen at all.
Yep.
So I've spent a good amount of time listening in the beginning and getting to know the church, its history and its culture. And I would say as far as growth goes, I've noticed, I would say what I'm noticing at Plymouth is that the more deep, Plymouth, I think our mission has been the biggest source of attraction for new members. So being progressive, inclusive in downtown Syracuse, when the majority of the churches are not progressive and inclusive congregations in the area, you have you have a couple in there, like 5 or 6 that I can count, but out of 200 churches in the city, 5 or 6 is not not really a huge number. So I think the mission, the piece about us living into our mission is probably what I'm realizing is drawing people. So pushing us to live, not pushing us, but inviting us to live more deeply into that and to be able to take more risks, I think has been a big help, if you will, in helping the congregation to grow, because I find that like I said, the mission piece every time about when we find out about what brings a new member here, it's the mission.
Very good.
Do you have a mission statement?
Yeah, so it's growing in faith, working for justice, and basically growing in faith and working for justice and peace.
Yeah. So I'm hearing the listening piece for you people who are relatively new in your association. I don't know anybody's new in their association though, except maybe Eric is new in his.
Yeah, I'm new. I'm both new I came in November 2019. So new to Oneida and Plymouth.
But listening to your churches in your association, like I'm trying to listen to our associations, is a critical piece. Listen and what is going on for you. So if you're wondering, maybe, Debbie, you're just new back into this, or I know that you've been there a bit, Mary, but maybe there are churches, and you're now the vice again. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Yeah. So you probably know what's going on in your churches, but just the listening piece, just to be heard, is so important. So important.
And for me, I don't know if other people in the same situation is, because I'm bivocational and I work during the day, I miss out on the council. So the church of ministry, I have never made a meeting. I've explained to them, they will not make it at night at all. The only control I have is when we do association level, I make it at night. And it's interesting because I had one of them, actually, that's the head of the church and ministry, say, well, we don't want to do it on a Friday again. And I said, well, if you're not willing to do it on a Monday because you're off, I said it nicer than that. But I said, as the moderator, you have to realize there's more than just me that work more than one job.
Yeah.
And that's a challenge that people still don't understand, how many of us do both, or are doing many things just because that's what happens in ministry. In my case, I work at a hospital that I try to do my best to do stuff at lunchtime. If I can get on a call sometimes, Donna saw me going on and off calls for the annual meeting. But yeah, so that when it comes to association, so the church and ministry is doing some of the things that, because they never told me I should be doing them. So I'm going to have to do some thinking and how do I kind of change that a bit for at least my last year of being moderator. So thank you. I never realized some of the things that moderators have been doing that nobody told me would be good.
Yeah. Just pausing, just letting people think.
I think one of the things as moderator for me, when I was past moderator and also now, is the fact that I'm an accountant. I work with numbers all the time. So one of the jobs of the moderator is to help the treasurer develop budgets and stuff like that. So that's one of the stronger points that I end up bringing to the association.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was needed. The past couple moderators didn't have that talent, but I feel at a loss in some of the other areas where the moderators are maybe a little more into the mission oriented stuff. And, you know, I guess I'm more hands-on financial stuff.
Does your association have a strong mission? I'm asking all of you, each of you. I can't tell you what the Western's mission is.
Yeah,
I can tell you what the Debbie, are you?
Yeah, I'm actually trying to think about it. I guess it is mission oriented. I guess some of the more active churches are those much like Eric's with the you know, justice. But some of the fringe churches don't relate a lot to that. Some of the churches that I've been a part of feel like, you know, we need to concentrate on our congregation, where I try to tell them the stained glass window is not to keep things out. You know, we need to look beyond our windows and what is out there in the world. But it doesn't always fly good with some of the smaller rural churches.
They're busy surviving.
Yes.
How about Susquehanna? Okay, Eric, sorry.
I was going to say was that I think with rural, you know, I think you summed it up well, Donna, that rural churches are, you know, a lot of times are trying to survive. And I pastored a rural church in New Hampshire, and the you know, always this anxiety about numbers. But I think what I learned was in that experience that it always isn't about the numbers, but rather how do I help this church live into the best version of itself that it can be? And it may not necessarily be a strong commitment to prophetic ministry or social justice, but there are other areas in which they can come alive. So that it could be, you know, the church has a vibrant direct services ministry of some kind, a feeding ministry or a food pantry. Well, you know, if you're committed to, you know, if feeding is your strength, then let's figure out how to help you live more deeply into that and accept and make that the focus of your ministry, feeding hungry folks.
And feel good about it.
Right. And if the pews don't have 300 people on Sunday morning and every seat isn't filled, you know, it's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Is it tough? Yes, we want to see more people, but on the other hand, if the church is living into its ministry and being the best version of itself it can be, I think what it shows us, especially for churches that have been around since the 1800s, is that there's a good chance you still will continue to survive in spite of.
Yeah. Judy, are you hearing the title of a workshop that the rural churches might benefit from in Eric's speaking? Because Judy, you said workshops, and I thought, well, Eric, no good deed goes unpunished, but how does a rural church thrive, not just survive, or something, you know?
Yeah, and what he said was spot on. I think that
Yeah.
you find where you have strengths and become, live into being the best at that you can be. I think we sell ourselves short when we think we have to fit the mold of a larger church, or, where we definitely are probably more of a prophetic justice oriented church. But at the same time, we're in a rural area, and I know that that's not a popular thing. So
Exactly.
I can't look at numbers. Because if that was the driving factor, it would keep us from being a little more brave and a little bolder. And that's not who we are, but we recognize that, we kind of go it alone many times, and that's okay too. Hey Gary, leave that open if you would, so I can hear if anybody comes to the door. So the thing I just lost my train of thought.
That Gary.
I know he's leaving. But there was in the local churches, when they're especially small, I think Eric's onto something, helping them find their gifts, finding what they are good at, what they have passion for, and live into that. Just kind of.
Here are my bullets. Workshops available more often, especially maybe focused on rural small churches, pulpit exchanges, encouraging year-round participation and continued participation via Zoom, church growth plans, listen and learn, mission-focused, survival for the rurals, becoming the best version of themselves that they can be. That's what I have. And interestingly, Debbie said the best version of herself that she brings is an attribute for her association, in the same way that the church can be the best version of itself. Finding the gifts, I guess that's how Judy said it. Yeah, find the gifts. I was a teacher for many, many years, and instead of bashing kids for what they weren't doing, I would lift them up for what they were doing. And that's what good parents and good teachers can do, and good pastors, good people, So it is 12:54. Anything else anybody would love to share for the good of the group? Let's go. Oh, wait a minute. It's 12:54 in my world.
Yeah, I was going to say 2:54 here, Donna.
It's Eric, you don't know. I'm in Colorado.
Okay. I was like, 12:54.
I'm in Colorado, and what I couldn't say before, because I don't know who knows the truth of what's going on here. My nephew and his wife were married last July during the pandemic.
Oh.
And they didn't tell everybody. So I don't know if some people are going to show up today and be, what? This is not a wedding? So we'll see how the family dynamics flow. But I'm headed to a celebration this afternoon for a young couple that wants to have children in this world of woe. So bless their hearts. We're going to go on the journey with them. Okay, we good? I'll share emails. I will.
Good.
We have Zoom now, so we can do this more often. We can connect more often if you're feeling a need. I'm wondering if Dave might go to Debbie's church or find somebody, or maybe we at the conference level can find somebody to go to Debbie's church, because it's like you cannot be a prophet in your own land very easily, and help them, begin the process of it. Or maybe Eric, begin the process of a church. Well, no, Eric, you weren't a church growth person. You're more.
I would be happy to, and Auburn's not that far. So I'd be happy and honored to. I'll help in any way I can.
So there you go.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Just let me know.
I will.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone, because I didn't know a lot of this stuff, so I'm happy.
And good luck to you two that are going to try to marry.
Yes.
Okay. All righty. Have a wonderful afternoon. And the recording of this will be
Donna, thank you for gathering us together.
You
All
are
right,
welcome.
God bless you. Let's do this again.
We'll do it again.
Okay.
Do it again. All righty.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you, Mary.